Hey everyone, we're here again for The Artist's Way, Week 1, Recovering a Sense of Safety, Day 5. And today we're going to talk about affirmations. So I wanted to start with reading a quote from this book, The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. And she says that affirmations will help you allow yourself to be more creative and to express yourself creatively. She says, an affirmation is a positive statement of positive belief. And if we can become 1/10 as good at positive self-talk as we are at negative self-talk, we will notice an enormous change. Affirmations help achieve a sense of safety and hope. So we want to talk about a little bit about affirmations in relationship to nonviolent communication. So I wonder if you'd be willing to say a few words on that, David.
Sure. So I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about affirmations.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can create a quote positive unquote affirmation and say it all you want, and if your core being is not in agreement with that statement, nothing will happen.
Right.
And so an affirmation is kind of like the tip of an iceberg, that there has to be a lot of congruence and inspiration and commitment within you that the affirmation expresses. And so I find often, if you just say, oh, I am a wonderful person, I am a wonderful person, I am a wonderful person, if you don't believe that at your core, it's going to create it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
An affirmation is the culmination of an expression of a lot of self-connection. How's that?
That's good. Yeah. So, well, then what do we do? Let's say we're stuck with a lot of self-talk that is not empowering, not resourceful. What do we do?
What do you mean by not empowering and not resourceful? Give me an example.
Well, just like you said, I'm a wonderful person, you could also say I'm a horrible person. I'm a horrible person. I'm such a horrible person. I can't do anything right. I'm lazy. Nobody likes me. I'm not friendly enough. I just can't do anything right. I'm a horrible person. And so how is that any different than I'm a wonderful person? Except for the fact that it's probably going to end up making us feel less empowered, less resourceful. In other words, we can't connect with that kind of self-talk. We can't connect with our own inner power and our own inner resourcefulness.
So, to be clear, in the artist's way, or when you do that affirmations, is the goal to reprogram self-talk? Is that why we do them? Why do we do affirmations?
Well, that's a good question. She says that they are our allies. Like they can become our inner allies to support us, whereas the negative self-talk is tearing us down. So the affirmations can help build us up. And I think she is coming from the position that what she calls positive self-talk, affirmations, is going to help us to connect to our inner sense of power, our inner sense of safety and strength and resourcefulness.
Okay. So that is slightly different than a lot of what people use affirmations for, which is to want to manifest something specific in their life. Kind of like to try to use an affirmation to program your reality to bring you a better job, or that car that you always wanted, or the relationship you're yearning for. So that's a little bit different than what I heard you talking about, which is using an affirmation to put a message into our own self-talk that makes us more resourceful, brings us a sense of safety and security. We're talking about safety. And so that's a slightly different thing. Mm-hmm. Am I making sense? Is that?
Well,
I'm curious how you respond to that.
I guess the thing is that I know I've worked with affirmations. Have you done affirmations at any point in your life?
Yes.
Okay. So we can talk about our own experience, but first I'll start with mine. So my experience with affirmations was, first of all, that they did actually help. And the way I did them was I wrote them first, and then I recorded them onto a tape, and then I listened to the tape. And I would listen to it at least once a day, often multiple times a day, and often just before sleep or when I was deeply relaxed. And I did actually see a change. However, what would happen is that I might feel like a boost of energy, a boost of confidence, and I would take action on that. However, the old core beliefs, what I would call my shadow, if that hadn't been dealt with, would always resurface.
Excuse me.
So, I don't know. Do you want to respond to that?
So you did one on core limiting beliefs, right? You already did a video on core limiting beliefs. So now what you're talking about, and maybe these are all really the same thing, is an affirmation as a way to adjust or transform a core limiting belief. Mm. So what my response to that is, an affirmation is not just a series of words that you repeat in your head. A true affirmation is alive, so that when you say that affirmation, well, I'm just trying to think of one to use as an example here. Okay, I am creating a successful life. So notice the difference if you just say, I am creating a successful life. I am creating a successful life. I am creating a successful life. So those were just words. Mm-hmm. I am creating a successful life. I am creating a successful life, creating a successful life. That's very different, because I'm infusing the energy of the affirmation into my being. There are tactile sensations going on in my body. There was a tingling in my chest. There was a joy welling up in me. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of emotional content. So if you're going to, an affirmation is not just a voice in your head. It's not just a sentence that you repeat, which is why there has to be congruence within you in support of that affirmation, because otherwise it won't be infused with the energy that gives the affirmation life and power.
Okay, but let's talk about why it's only temporary. Because I know that's been my experience. And I think that's why a lot of people are turned off by the so-called positive thinking movement or New Age movement, because they've read books or they've seen these DVDs, and maybe they've even gone to somebody's seminar and they've tried it, And maybe they felt good for a little while, but then the old patterns come back. So that's what I really want to explore, because I think even, if this is the first time you've read The Artist's Way, I would say probably 99.9% of the people have heard of affirmations. They know what affirmations are. This is not new. But for some reason, it's only like a temporary boost, almost like a temporary high. It's a state, how does Ken Wilber use that word? State versus stage?
Yeah. Yeah, state is an awareness that you temporarily access. You're in a certain state of illumination. And if you're at that stage, then your whole being has moved into it, and it's just the backdrop of your consciousness, of your experience.
Right. And so how do we go from creating a state in which we may feel very positive and uplifted and strong and confident and joyful and feel courage and power, and we're accessing all of those things in that moment, and yet it doesn't last?
There is, for an affirmation to work, there has to be an incredible amount, a very well, incredible is as good a word as any, amount of honesty. Because if you're in delusion, if you're into avoidance, if you're into pretending, that's what will be encoded in the affirmation. And we've all heard of the phrase, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. If you want to get from point A to point B, you have to take that step. But in order to get from point A to point B, you have to know where you are in point A to begin with. You can't go onto Google and say, tell me how to get to blah, blah place without telling Google where you're starting from. So that's what the honesty is all about. It's about recognizing where you start, who you are, and befriending yourself as you are right now. And that gives you the sobriety to come up with an affirmation that is going to be impactful.
Okay. Did you want to share your own personal experience?
Well, there's another way that you can use affirmation, which is when you're in a lot of turmoil. It can be a Band-Aid in terms of, there was a time in my life that was really, really tough. I was in my I think late 20s, and my business stuff was falling apart. I really felt like I was a failure at relationships. And there was this storm sometimes in my head that was very distracting and very uncomfortable. And I came up, it was actually, I don't know if maybe you'd call it a mantra, even more than an affirmation, whatever it was all about, it was a phrase that I would repeat to myself: may the long time sun shine upon me, all love surround me, and the pure light within me guide me all the way home. And I would just say that over and over and over to myself, just so that really disruptive, turbulent turmoil within me was kind of held at bay or kept in the background, because my affirmation was in the foreground. And that was like emergency first aid. And it really just helped me not panic, because it gave my attention something to focus on. That was not, not all of the dissonance that I felt very fragmented from. So,
yeah. I'll share another one of my own, which I think affirmations are some kind of NLP technique. That's what I would associate it with, is neuro-linguistic programming. And I have a specific, or I would call it maybe a mantra, an affirmation or a mantra, that I use when I get into my car. And I say, I will arrive safely at my destination. I have set my intention. And I've never had any problems, So sometimes I'll even add, I will arrive at my destination safely and on time. I have set my intention. And it's never failed, never once. So, and, you know, I can't explain it, but certainly there's an alignment within me. And I think that the alignment is, it aligns the different parts of our consciousness.
Right.
And I think there's something external to us as well that we can access. And we get into alignment with that. And I would say Don Juan calls that will, although I am not planning. Well, there actually are a few teachings of Don Juan Matus, as recorded by Carlos Castaneda, that I actually may bring in and weave into this program, because I think his teachings are so incredibly powerful. But anyway, those affirmations have been very powerful because there was an alignment. And that's definitely part of it. So, you know, as we've been discussing in this week one, there has to be an acknowledgement of and a meeting of you and your shadow, you and your core inner beliefs. And if you are not willing to do that, the shadow will always win in the end. And you might be able to boost yourself for a short period of time through affirmations, but the shadow will always run the show in the end.
I don't like the phraseology win, because if we're battling our shadow,
well, that's the thing.
Or with ourselves.
Exactly. That's the thing. That's what I'm saying.
So,
if we are battling it, if we're using that idea of somebody's got to win, me or my shadow,
right,
the shadow's going to win. That's what I'm saying, is that we cannot be at war with our shadow.
Right.
We have to embrace it and befriend it and welcome it in, invite it in, integrate it. I think I need to.
No, yeah, I totally agree with you. I'm just trying to tie that back to affirmations now in my mind, how affirmation fits into that.
Well, I think I want to share a story because it's really alive for me, which is there have been numerous times in my life when I have really been pushed to encounter, get to know, befriend, welcome in, integrate my shadow. One particular time in my life, I realized that there was part of myself that I called the bitch, or the cold narcissistic bitch.
I met her.
And I didn't like that part of myself. So, and I gave her the name CNB, Cat in Black. And I, you know, I saw a picture in a magazine, which I'll connect to a link below. It was an ad with a model named Andrea Diakonu and David Beckham. And anyway, I'll link to that below. And so the image of her, I saw an incredibly powerful woman radiating out of her in the portrayal in that image. And when I saw it, I was like, that's my alter ego. That's like that, just the energy that she was radiating of confidence and assurance. And, you know, I can't speak to her as a person because I don't know her personally. I'm just saying that's what I saw. That's what spoke to me when I saw that image. And so I connected with that immediately. And so for me to really get to know this part of myself, I gave her name. Like I said, her name was Cat in Black. And I had an image in my mind of what she looked like. And I realized that I was always pretty much shoving her into the trunk of my car. You know, like I just wanted her out of the picture. I don't want her anywhere around me. I don't want her up in the front seat. I certainly don't want her driving a car. And so she was shoved in the trunk. And what would happen is at certain times in my life, she would come out and she would start driving the car. And then I was, in a sense, at war with her. And but what she was trying to do was she was trying to help me meet my needs. You know, she was my disowned power. She was my shadow. And once I began to see that, then I began to integrate that part of myself. And that was just absolutely phenomenal in terms of transformation. And so I just wanted to share that imagery because, you know, as we move through the artist's way, I am doing my best to follow along with the structure that Julia Cameron created, because I think what she created in the artist's way is incredibly powerful. But I also want to trust my own intuition. And when things are alive for me, I want to share them in that moment. I don't want to come too much from my head. I want to trust my heart and my intuition and inspiration and let whatever emerges in the moment come to the fore. And so I wanted to share that story. And
so you can think of an affirmation kind of as a turbocharge or as an anchor, like cementing stuff. So once you've done your internal work and, you know, you're befriending Cat in Black, and you want to just reinforce that you've done that, then an affirmation can be really useful. And it can be a reminder to bring you back to the state, to the work that you've done. I wonder what news broadcasters do when they have to cough. You never see them coughing on.
Maybe they take a cough suppressant.
Maybe they do. Anyway, so certainly affirmations can be, you know, like I said, tip of the iceberg. They're like a turbocharger, the icing on the cake. I don't think they're the core foundation. That's my opinion.
All right. Well, there's something else I want to touch on, but first I want to see if you feel complete.
I do. So I'm going to cough. So to put the thing on pause for a minute while I do my coughing thing. And remember that.
All right. So did you feel complete?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I did, this was apparently in July 2016. And when in the next video, I want to talk about writing a letter from your future self. And basically this will be a communication between yourself now and yourself a year from now, so that there's a trajectory for the next 12 months. But I'll get into that more next video. But for now, anyway, I was looking through old files on my computer to see if I had written anything a year ago that would really speak to this idea of writing a letter from your future self. And I ran across this document that I had written in July of 2016 called "What Did I Accomplish in the Past 10 Years?" And there are 60 items on this list. And I thought that this was actually really powerful in terms of creating affirmations, because, you know, it's great to say something like, I've manifested the love of my life, or I've manifested, or I now have a successful career that supports me comfortably, or whatever. But if you don't feel that as a living truth, like David said, it's not really going to have any effect. But this actually was very powerful. So, and I don't want to read it online because I don't think it would be that interesting for me to just read off these 60 things. But I will paste it in the box below. All right, so are we ready to sum it up?
Yes, let's sum it up.
Okay.
So affirmations can help reinforce and codify a transformation that is already underway. Affirmations, when they are lackluster, help contribute to delusion. and they can be a great procrastination tool. So it really boils down to doing your homework and really connecting with yourself and getting in touch with your passion and why you're even watching this video, or why your Artist Way even calls to you, and then enlisting the aid of affirmations to really say out loud and bring into physical expression what you already hold dear in your heart and in your being. How's that?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to sum it up. So, as always, please subscribe to this channel. Click on the bell for notifications. Add comments below. I would love to hear what you have to say about this video, and particularly if it helped you, and in what ways did you see some transformation in your own lives from using these techniques. And click like, and also check out the information in the box below. Thanks. We'll talk to you next time.